Alrighty, welcome to the Rise Show. I'm your host, Nick DiGregorio, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Mr. Kent Gladish, Vice President of the Technology and Manufacturers Association. With over 2 decades of leadership at the TMA, Kent has played a pivotal role in helping Illinois' small and medium-sized manufacturers thrive. His expertise in sales, marketing, and membership development has helped countless businesses craft comprehensive strategies for long-term success. Today, we're actually going to dive into his insights on leadership, manufacturing, and the future of Illinois industrial sector. Kent, this is phenomenal, and just welcome you into the show.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
100%. Over our past conversations, it's been great to get to know you. Really excited to dive into a few of these questions that we have here for you today. And the first one, Kent, I see the TMA has been a driving force behind really supporting small and mid-sized manufacturers here in Illinois. Can you give us an overview of how the association helps businesses grow and stay competitive in today's market?
Sure, there's a couple of things. When you're a small to medium-sized manufacturer, let's say the sweet spot would be a 50-man machining business. That would be right in the center of our sweet spot. They don't have much of an ability to have a voice in Springfield. So Boeing, Caterpillar, and Deere are not members of our association. They've got all that horsepower, and they're big, gigantic behemoths. So our smaller members need a voice. So they join TMA, they band together, and we try to fight for the small to medium-sized guys in Springfield. We provide an awful lot of training from the shop floor all the way up to the corner office. Really impressive. I think we've been doing our training since 1934. We're in our 100th year here in 2025, which is super exciting, but our training is just unparalleled. I'm not in the training part of TMA, but having been here for 21 years, I know it's exceptional because I've had too many people tell it to me. And then
That's extraordinary.
Finally, we do a great job of getting our members together to help one another, whether that's by attending an event and meeting one another and exchanging handshakes and business cards, or whether it's just, I'll give you an example of literally 20 minutes ago, a member said to me, I'd like to take the pulse of what other small to medium-sized manufacturers are providing for long-term disability maximum payout or maximum coverage. So I sent that out to about 650 people with the direction for them to reply to him directly. So I'm out of the loop and he'll probably get 25 answers inside of 2 hours. We're really proud of that ability to get our members to help one another.
That's just incredible. The history in the TMA is there. I mean, 100 years, and with you have been with the TMA, I think you said for 21 years. I
10%.
know that you've played a major role in shaping its history. How would you say your leadership approach has evolved over time? And are there some key lessons that you've learned along the way?
That's a great question. And I thought about that because that's a tricky question. I think my answer is I'm gonna be a little edgy here. I call it being a person of excellence. A person of excellence is somebody who walks into their bathroom at their company and there's a piece of paper on the floor. You pick it up and you throw it in the garbage can. You do the right thing. You respond to everybody. You be quick and you never say no. It's a cute little Disney thing. They don't tell you that they close at 7 p.m. They say they're open until 7 p.m. And so when members come to me and they say, I need help with X, sometimes the answer is, no, I can't help you, but I never want to say that. I always want to find a way to give them something positive. And I think that really helps in all walks of business.
100%. I love that, especially we're not closed until 7, we're open until 7. That's fantastic. And I know that there's many challenges that are faced in manufacturing, and I'm sure that some of the TMA members, them being small and mid-sized manufacturers, may be facing some of those challenges here today. What would you say are some of the biggest challenges that are really approaching the manufacturing sector, and how is TMA helping them navigate these hurdles?
What I think has really been fascinating in the last 5 years is culture. And what I mean by that is millennials. And what I mean by that is small to medium-sized manufacturers are needing to look attractive to their future workforce, which means all of a sudden their website is not about customers and prospects, it's about future employees. And that's been rather interesting to kind of illustrate that we're a warm environment where families first, where the employee is key. That I think is really what's very interesting. We do a great job of connecting our members to the local high schools who get it. Not
Mm-hmm.
all the high schools get it. Many of them have thrown away their autos class, their woodworking class, and their metals classes. They are coming back. It is good news, but they threw them all away during the last 30 years. And so we know which high schools get it, and we connect our members to them, and then they get first rights of refusal with the industrial arts teachers who know which young men and women shouldn't go off to college, get $40,000 worth of debt, but might want to work with their hands and that sort of thing. Yeah, I think that's the best way to answer that question.
No, that's fantastic. I'm glad, especially to hear with an aging workforce, that you guys are starting at that local high school level to get people involved and engaged in manufacturing, because it's incredible the things that are happening within that space. So that's just incredible to hear. And I know one of your strengths from some of the conversations that we've had is helping businesses develop strong sales and marketing plans. And you mentioned website previously. I was just curious, what are some key elements that manufacturers should focus on when they're really crafting their growth strategies?
Yeah, so 21 years ago, the then board of directors, because our board of directors turns over not each year, but if you will, every 3 years. So 21 years ago is a whole different set of people. And they decided to hire kind of a marketing guy in manufacturing to help the members one-on-one with marketing. Well, that guy was me. And what I turned that all into was helping the members one-on-one, not just with marketing, but with sales and marketing and merging them together. Because
Hmm.
in a smaller business, you can have your sales and your marketing be the same person or people. Boeing, Caterpillar, and Deere is a completely different animal. So I have an awful lot of experience working with 200 of our members in 20 years, one-on-one, to help them figure out how to get new revenue. I shouldn't say new revenue, you can get revenue from existing customers. And really, to answer the question, Nick, it's they need to do something. As silly as that sounds, marketing and sales tends to be out of the comfort zone of the small to medium size anything business. So
Hmm.
what they need to do is find a good consultant and do something, whether that's a trade show, whether it's redoing your website, whether it's pay per click, getting into social media. It's really hard to do all of it, but you should have a lot of different plates spinning, and it's challenging. There's no question about that. I did want to do a quick little advertisement. TMA has a $5,000 a year subscription to the Hoover's database. That's a database of 83 million businesses around the globe.
Wow.
So it's a prospecting database that is owned by Dun& and Bradstreet. So it's the big fish. And I have access to that. So I can run reports for any of my members that I'm working with. So if they say they want to go after aerospace in the St. Louis metro area with more than 100 employees, I can dump a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet to them with the 75 companies that meet that criteria. They can then go off and do their prospecting from there. So we've got a lot of good tools to help members do exactly what you're talking about.
That's absolutely phenomenal. You want those different irons in the fire to be able to build on the success that they're having, because sometimes, like you mentioned, the sales and the marketing efforts when you're medium to small size manufacturer, you're like, what direction should I go? Is it pay per click? Is it building a new website? Is it branding? Is it warm call, cold call? Is it LinkedIn marketing? What does that look like? And sometimes you could get lost in the sauce. So that's great that you guys have a platform and that Hoover database and website to kind of help them through the process to find different and interesting ways that they could connect with other organizations and add revenue to that bottom line. And something that I'm hearing a lot is this term workforce development. And I'm sure that you're aware of it now. And there's been a skilled labor shortage that I know our industry is concerned about, and I think it's been a major concern in manufacturing. How would you say the TMA addresses workforce development, and what advice do you have for companies looking to attract and retain that top tier talent?
Yeah, that's back to the culture question. As I've said, that there's got to be an open culture to be warm to employees. Back when I started working, we went to work sick. We went through 8 inches of snow. We just, it's a different world. Um, but I like to tell a story specifically what we do to help our members with workforce. I collect roughly 90 resumes of people looking for work per year.
Mm,
I turn them into 6 bullets and I send them out through that same listserv that we talked about 8 minutes ago to the 800 or 650 people. So I just launched a marketing guy about 3 hours ago. He's already got 5 leads for employment. So those are the kinds of things we do directly to help people right here and now. On a bigger scale, the association has what's called their education foundation. So it's roughly $2 million of money that gets dispersed out to the requesting schools, community colleges in Northeast Illinois that are looking to bolster their metals program. So they may need 25% of a Haas machine. They may need 60% of an instructor. So they'll fill out that form, they'll send it into the association, and they will probably be granted that money in order to benefit the education of young people in the manufacturing space. And I'm pretty excited about that because that flies under everybody's radar. Nobody knows about our foundation. I'm glad I had the opportunity to talk about that. It's been around since 1984, and we give out roughly $250,000 a year, which I think is really
wow, that's
impressive.
incredible.
Yeah.
It sounds like a foundation that's having an immense impact within the TMA organization.
Yeah, I'd like to share the story. The superintendent of East and West Leiden in Melrose and Franklin Park is a personal friend of mine. They have been awarded an awful lot of money over the years because they have a fantastic metals program. They've got like 90 kids cutting metal right now as we speak. And then they'll
Wow.
have 30 seniors graduating out of metals too. They get a job right away and they are rocking and rolling, don't need college, don't need college debt. It's really exciting to see what those guys are doing at East and West Leiden. They've got machines in there, got 2 great instructors. Good stuff.
That's remarkable. I love to hear that, especially with the growing numbers of tuition to hear people that are getting involved in the workforce right out of high school. I think it's a great way to learn, great way to gain a skill set in a trade that, like we talked about a little bit earlier, not as many people as we would like to see are starting to get in to those certain trades. So it's cool to hear some of the young bucks that are now starting their journey and getting in to those different trades. And this kind of goes right along with the workforce development topic, but technology, that's another huge buzzword, and innovations at the forefront with AI, with all the rapid changes that are happening. And in the manufacturing sector, I'm seeing that it's evolving rapidly with some of those new technology of automation, AI, smart factories. How would you say TMA members are adapting to some of these changes? And is there any interesting trends or any different trends that you're seeing shaping the industry's future?
Wow, that's a great question. You mentioned AI. I'm just dabbling into that myself, so that's very exciting, but I argue it's in its infancy. I just
Hmm.
don't know the answer to that yet. I had a member ask us to write a testimonial for him because he wanted to go off to grad school. So I let ChatGPT do it for me. Did it fabulous. So how that fits into manufacturing, I think we're still figuring that out.
Okay.
That is exciting. Robotics is automation, robotics, however you want to say it. It's exciting. Our current chairman of the association, so the manufacturer who is called the chairman, Craig Zobaris, a RoboJob, a shout out to him because his business model is implementing a Belgian software that's figured out high mix, low volume automation. And it's really
Wow.
exciting because that's usually the issue with automation. Hey, I only make 2,000 of these. I can't afford a robot to do 2,000. I need to figure out a way to get economies there. Green manufacturing is becoming bigger and bigger, all that sustainable um, way. I mean, you've got all the cutting oils, you got all the electricity, you got solar, you've got Imago Manufacturing out in Marengo that's got a gigantic farm of solar panels running his machining business on his property, which is really exciting to see. COVID taught us about supply chain and the complexity of that and where you're getting various steels from. That's an interesting thing. And I don't even want to talk about tariffs. I'll just say that we recently did a survey of our members, and I believe the numbers were roughly 60% said negative impact so far, and
Mm,
20% said positive impact, and the balance had said none or don't care.
mm,
So it is affecting as of right now. I think we've got to let a little bit of time run here,
yeah.
given what I'm hearing in the macro media these days.
Well, that's incredible. I agree with you that AI is in its infancy stage, and it's really going to be interesting over the next 5 years with quantum computing and the different advancements that are being made in this sector to see what transpires. I'm on the edge of my seat right with you to see what really happens over these next 5 years. And I think there are going to be a lot of interesting things that come out in the manufacturing space, and it'll be really, really interesting to see how that transpires. And changing topics a little bit, when you're looking at the TMA and the association as a whole, can you share a success story where a TMA member significantly benefited from the association's resources?
I literally have 100 of those spinning around in
I
my
figured
head,
you would.
but I'm going to share one that nobody would ever imagine. It's a little edgy, but I love being a little edgy. I had a balding white Christian male, one of my TMA members, come to me and say, Kent, the heir apparent to my company is my daughter, and she knows who's on my board of directors. It's a whole bunch of balding white Christian males. Dad, go find some diversity. So he came to me and he said, how can you help me with that? Now, it's possible that I could go out and pick some women in the association, but what I did is we crafted a very simple anonymous email and sent it out to those 600 people saying, we're looking for diversity. I did not use the word male, female, any way, shape, or form. Got 15 responses. 12 of them were men and 3 of them were women. I gave the 3 women to the gentleman, to the interested party. I believe he hired 2 of them to be on his board. So
Wow.
that would be something that you wouldn't imagine your association could not only directly help you with, but somewhat not biased. I wasn't picking
Right.
specific women who I know, so it's kind of Kent's thing. It was, yeah, sent out to the group.
Kent, that's fantastic. And it shows the impact of just being able to bring the community together to do some reach out. And look at that. He hired 2 out of the 3. That's phenomenal. And it sounds like they were super intelligent women. So that's great to be able to add them to the board of directors.
And he was able to keep his anonymity.
Yep.
Nobody knows who it is except for me. So
That's amazing. I love to hear stories like that. And we know that every industry has its ups and downs. The manufacturing industry is no different. We see ups, we see downs, and from economic shifts to global supply chain disruptions. I mean, Ken, as a leader in this industry, how do you stay resilient and really help others navigate in times of uncertainty? We saw COVID, we're seeing the tariffs that you said right now. Is there a specific mindset, approach, or strategy that you use to help the members?
yeah, and full transparency to your listeners, I came back to you and I said, what are you really asking me? And you helped me out with that. So I have a very simple answer, and that answer is work ethic. You just get up looking forward to your day, work your tail off, get your sleep, and go and do it again.
Hmm.
And frankly, that's what baby boomers have done. Back to my earlier statement, I just remember driving to work so many times in such deep snow and rainstorms in Chicago, which I would never do today. But yeah, a work ethic that just says, got to get it done.
I love that, and I think that's missed. Bringing your lunch pail to work, that hard work, energy, and effort day in and day out, regardless of the conditions. And I know with the advent of Zoom and COVID, a lot of people work from home, which is great, but I think there's nothing that can beat that in-person connection and building those relationships, especially in the manufacturing sector. So I couldn't agree with you more, bringing that work ethic and showing up with a determined to win.
And a pet peeve of mine, a lot of people, a lot of politicians say they're going to work hard on something. I don't want to work hard on anything. I want to work smart. I want to work on the right thing. And yeah, you're going to work hard, but it's just semantics, but still, you get my point.
100% work smarter, not harder.
Yep.
And last but not least, for those looking, you got so much knowledge, wisdom, and expertise over your 21-year career. So I had to ask you this last question. For anybody that's looking to step into a leadership role, whether that's in manufacturing, whether that's in an association, or just business in general, what would you say is one key piece of advice that you'd offer them to help them succeed?
Sit on both sides of the table 100% of the time. So whether it's your kids, your spouse, your supplier, just try to sit in their shoes and understand what their needs are, and then try to marry those two things together.
Hmm. Sit on both sides of the table. I love that. Couldn't have said that any better.
At the same time, I don't think it's challenging because it's what I learned to do. I love your question, but everybody's got needs and everybody's also got their issues that you don't know about. So
Hmm.
if you try to sit in their shoes and try to understand and then try to answer accordingly, I know you'd be better off because it worked for me.
That's phenomenal. Well, Ken, this has just been absolutely outstanding. I appreciate your time today. Where can people go to connect with you, to learn more about what you're doing, or connect with the TMA and the association in general if they're looking to join or become member of that phenomenal organization?
Well, I like the first-handed way. I have a unique first name and last name, so I'm brutally easy to find on LinkedIn or Facebook for that matter. Reach out to me directly so I see what the impact is of this podcast. And then I get you connected to my incredible colleague named Isaac Flex, who my wife calls a mini me because I'm trying to teach him everything I know, and I just love him to pieces. But he is our business development guy. So.
That's phenomenal. If they just wanted to get in touch with the association, you recommend reaching out to you or Isaac?
Yeah, because then I'll know what the impact is of this podcast. So I'm a
Wonderful.
marketing guy, so I like to measure the stuff that we do. So try to walk the talk.
Fantastic. Well, Kent, this was great. Really looking forward to another conversation, and thank you for your time today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.